Well, welcome everybody. My name is Jordan Stanchev, and thank you for coming here for the lectures on technical writing. So, how many of you would like to learn a skill which will help you to be better at your profession as a developer, for example? Would writing be something of interest for you? Yeah, sure. Glad to hear that. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about what it is, what is covered in this course. So, technical writing as such is all about our end users. It's all about the users of the software. Have you ever tried using software without reading the documentation? Have you ever tried using a complicated software without using documentation? Right? Is it easy to do it? No? Yeah? Thank you. Okay, so technical writing is all about our end users, our customers, and about showing them how to use our software tools. Okay? And it's about overcoming this particular situation in which the user doesn't know how to handle the software or does not know how to move forward and continue using it. And uh, who can tell me actually what do we call software documentation? What do you think software documentation is?
Documentation that describes how the software works.
Very well, thank you. Okay, what else?
Some specific.
Exactly, yes. Thank you. What else? How many of you are already developers? Only one developer? Okay. Have you heard about API? APIs? Yes, it's a form of technical documentation, right? And have you ever seen content on the screen which is written text? What do you think? Is it some sort of documentation? It depends. But usually, if it's on the screen and it's meant to guide you, then we can say that it's documentation too. Okay? So basically what we can say is that software documentation or source code documentation is some form of written text. Somewhere if you write something on the screen and it helps your users to achieve their goal, the reason they purchase their software, then we are talking about software documentation. It will allow you to explain to the user how to work with the software, how to configure it, set it up, operate it, and it may mean different things for people in different roles. Okay, very well. Welcome. Okay, as I see we are still gathering. Would you be interested to learn a little bit more about who am I and what am I doing here? Sure. Okay, so again, my name is Jordan Stanchev. I will be leading this course on technical writing. So I guess my story started almost 20 years ago when I were just like you, a student, and I started working for a very small software company as part-timer. But over the course of the years, as I was working as a Java developer, I found a new discipline which I found much more interesting for me personally than the Java development. And it was the world of technical writing. You know, what was the reason for that? You know, have you ever been in a job where you do do not like what you are doing. Can you imagine that? Yeah. So for me, it was like this. I was working as a developer, but after 3 years, it was not so fun. It was not interesting for me. No interaction with customers, no interesting discussions or things happening. And then I moved into a team of technical writers, where I finally found something which I really liked working on. And basically, I've been working as a technical writer for more than 10 years. At present, I'm a user assistance development architect at a company called SAP. It's right over there for those of you who know where is SAP. And in my role as a technical writer, we have set up a small community of technical writers. It's like a professional community where we meet and talk about technical writing and the challenges that we see in Bulgaria from technical writers' point of view. And it was on one of those TCOM events. We were having some, let's say, coffee with the colleagues, and we were chatting that, there is no real education for technical writers in Bulgaria, and everybody was saying, somebody should do something about it. And as a result, I decided that if there's nobody else, then obviously that's me. And maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I've applied together with SAP, of course. There was a small government program for business into the education. And I've set up this course on technical writing, which is exactly what I was using to onboard new people in our team when I was working as a technical writer at SAP. Which means that usually I would get some people who have some background in IT, maybe are developers, maybe are journalists, maybe completely different backup. And I will have to teach them into what is technical writing so that they can begin producing the software documentation for our software. And this way help our users. So I've organized all that into a small course, and I think this is the second or the third year in which I'm teaching it. Here at New Bulgarian University, this is my second year. So I hope you will find it interesting and helpful. I will do my best to share my knowledge and experience into technical writing, information architecture, and all the things that I'm involved in this field, so that later on, when you go outside and you go and do work as developers or decide to become really technical writers, you will have some good background and solid basis to start from. Okay, do you have any questions about my background? Okay. Would you like to know how this course is going to happen? Okay, so again, I'm coming from my practical experience so far. And last year I've been doing like a lot of lectures and a couple of exercises. But technical writing is a skill set in which you will become better if you practice. Which means that this year I will focus primarily on the practice side, and the lectures are coming just to explain a concept on our idea. I will try to have a format which is very close to a workshop format, and you will have some small workbooks to take with you for each lecture. For example, today in the preliminary mail, I've sent you a link to a Udemy course that I've set up with recordings of the lectures, and underneath the current lecture, which is like a small first webinar, I've attached a small book that you can open or print out, and now we are going to use that and write the documentation or some small exercises inside. You had a question?
Yes,
Yes.
you were talking about video or
About what?
you said that you sent the link with email with the
Yes.
link. So this link is leading to a video or I didn't get it.
So for those of you who have sent me their mail already, I have already provided this information. If you have not, I can forward it again in a minute. So I've set up the materials in several places. So the old materials from last year, you already have them in Moodle. So if you enjoy PowerPoints, you have them already there. Then I've created a bunch of instructional videos, like recorded sessions, which are hosted on Udemy. And I've provided a free account code for you. So no need to purchase it, you just need to enroll there. There I will be publishing all these recordings, the new versions. You can see already the old version of the training. Additional materials, small quizzes. Last year I've been giving some assignments in there. So we can use this platform for a greater interaction. The third place where you will find information for the course is a small closed group that I've prepared, where you will be together with the rest of my students, where I will publish again materials, recordings. If you have questions, you can ask the small community that we have there. And this way we can interact. It's in Facebook. Again, I will give you a link to that. And as I know that it's Monday morning, believe it or not, it was hard for me to get here on time.
Same to us, I guess.
Yes, and I personally also am a strong work from home person. I will try to broadcast, or at least if the internet does not work properly here, at least record the videos. So if you miss a lecture, you can catch up. But as my goal is to have it like a workshop, it would be better if we are together here and do all the exercises together. Okay, do you have other questions?
Yeah, what about the exams?
So basically, the university requires that I give you some grades. I strongly hope I will not have to do an exam in the end, like we had last year, unfortunately. It is so supposed to be kind of project-based. So you do your exercises here. It covers all the homeworks you can think about, all the small projects, and at the end, because this is a 2 semesters course, you will have to develop some sort of user assistance and software documentation. It's like a small project. But usually I see how my students work. You will have some grades on these small work groups, workbooks we are going to use every time. So the grades are nothing to be worried about. Okay. Other questions? Okay, good. So then, as I really would like to start first with this small workbook, I would like to ask you now to all of you to open these small workbooks from Udemy. And those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, let me know and I can start it here on the screen so you can see it.
What exactly did you need? Because I kept the course open, but
So for those of you who are ready, I would like to ask you to do now the following things. I would like to ask you to write down 3 ways in which you think you can help a user to address a problem with their software. I will give you 5 minutes to do that. That should be easy. Okay? Okay, so who would like to share what you have written? Any volunteers? Okay, so ladies first, then you're next. Okay.
Okay. The first one I came up with is given specified location.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we know the location, I guess it's easier to find the problem.
Okay.
The second one is given the before-after scenario, or what is happening when the problem occurs.
Okay.
And the third one, what has been done differently to trigger this problem,
Okay. Thank you.
if any.
Okay. So next.
So if I correctly understand, you should say the 3 ways to help a client find a problem with his software. So the first thing I would ask him is to check if the hardware is compatible with this software, and this is the first thing. And the second thing, if the operating system is compatible with the requirements, and the last thing is the Windows troubleshooter.
Okay. Very well. Thank you. Okay. So you shared some nice examples of looking for the troubles, but how many of these ways actually can be done in a written form? Can you do all of them in writing? Yes, right. But how exactly are you going to write? Right? This is the whole story. This is what the technical writing will be all about. How to let the users help themselves without consuming a lot of our time. Imagine that in these scenarios that you shared, you had to be there for each and every customer. If you were there for each and every customer physically, you would be able to help only, let's say, 5 a day at most. But if you write a set of instructions which let the user know how to solve a particular problem, how to use the software, then you're going to help them a lot. They will go through your documentation, through your user assistance to be more precise, and then will contact you only in case really no other way. People always prefer to ask somebody for assistance, but usually it is the documentation that can help them. Okay? Very well. Thank you. Okay. So again, when we speak about software documentation, let me briefly recap again. When we speak about software documentation, we talk about any written documentation, any written text, any source code documentation that you have and you provide with your computer software. At the opening of the session, you gave me some example. You said that it's the instructions for using the software that is software documentation. But if you are also a developer, you're also reading some sort of instruction. It's the source code, the API documentation that you go through. So it's on the one hand side the customer-facing documentation in the classical sense of a customer, the end user of the software, but it's also other developers. So do you think, does it matter what is the role of the user that is reading the documentation? What do you think? Is it important? Probably. Yeah. We'll see why. Yeah. Of course it is. It is very important. Right. Thank you. Okay. So then, knowing what we are going to talk about, software documentation, who would like to tell me what is, according to you, technical writing? What do you think technical writing is? Okay, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, if it's to guide the end user, it's probably to write something that will assist. What would you like to assist them with, but
Yep.
have instructions that they can really troubleshoot themselves.
That's right. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
It's documentation for technical sided people.
For what? Technical stuff.
Yeah, for tech people.
It could be. It could be also that. Thank you. Okay. What else do you think is involved behind technical writing?
Description of a product.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. What else? Okay. So, do you think that we will need to? Okay. So, how many of you think we will have to write in if we are talking about technical writing? Yes. Now another question: how many of you think you will not have to write to provide technical writing? Nobody else? Only me? Okay. Do you think that technical writing involves something else other than writing? What do you think?
Maybe some analysis.
Some analysis, very good point. Thank you. Do you, let's put it like this, is it necessary that you have a perfect and fluent English to be a technical writer?
No.
No. Why?
Well, it's not. I mean, not only this that you have to.
Yeah.
No.
That's my point.
I think it's good to have, but it's not necessary.
It's not necessary, not always necessary. Okay, so I will try to stop torturing you and show you a little bit of more text. I seriously doubt you can easily read it, but actually the challenge with technical writing is that we are kind of fixed into this term writing because it was invented like, how many? Like 70 years ago. Do you know from where actually technical writing appeared as a profession? Did you know that it's actually something that the military guys invented in the States in order to prepare their documents for procedures and how to do things in a way so that every soldier can just read the instructions and achieve their goal? Yeah, maybe you could have guessed it. But basically, technical writing appeared as a form of writing, but in reality, underneath the hood of technical writing, you will find a lot of other things you have to do. It is actually a whole profession which allows you to be very good in the language part of things. So if you are an English language expert, you will do just fine in technical writing. You can write text, right? And it will be some good text. But what if you are some techie guy and you are more into the development part of the world? What if you are a guy or a person who wants to understand user requirements and needs and address them? What if you want to be a manager? How many of you thought that there could be management involved in technical writing? Yeah? You have heard there are team leads, managers. Did you thought that there is a lot of planning behind the software documentation? Yes. Actually, if you take a look at it, underneath technical writing, we are covering a lot of things. It's just one term. It's like saying that developers only take care to write code, and that's it. No, it's the same way. Technical writing is also about technical writing itself, but it covers the entire set of processes around planning for the documentation and user assistance, preparing this user assistance, maybe including technical writing, creating the user assistance, and here is the part where you may be surprised, but actually technical writing involves not only writing, it involves also video and instructions creation, it involves also images and graphics creation. So your job may have little to do with the physical act of writing, right? It also addresses the structuring and organizing of the content. How many of you have heard about the information architect as a profession? Do you know? Yeah? Information architects you've heard about? Excellent. Information architecture is a part also of technical writing. It's a big part of technical writing. Classification of content with metadata. How many of you know what is metadata? Thank you. Here we are going to talk about classifications, building taxonomies and ontologies, classifying objects with metadata. For example, this is my specialty as user assistance development architect. I'm very much into here and here. The writing part is just a part of what we are doing. Delivering and maintaining the information. So when we say deliver the documentation, do you think that it's very easy to deliver the documentation? What do you think? Have you heard about publishing teams? Publishers? These are the guys who need to take eventually the written content, multimedia, images, videos, metadata that you have prepared as a technical writer, bundle all that together, and deliver it and deploy it to the customer so that the customer can use your deliverable. There are entire publishing teams that work only on that aspect. How your content is going to look like, what formats you want to use, the look and feel of the website on which you are deploying the documentation. Everything around this is literally around publishing. And in many cases, we have entire development teams working in the backend to support the technical writing teams. And they are very often part of one same group, and you can say, okay, who is the technical writer here? It's not that easy to differentiate, and there is no need to differentiate. Actually, in the technical writing as a profession, you will find out that there is a lot you can do, no matter what type of interest you have. If you want to be a manager and lead people, you should focus on the planning and preparation phase and upskilling of people. If you love writing for the writing part, but it's not creative writing, let me make it clear immediately. In the writing part, there you go, in the preparation, creation, and structuring. If you prefer to be more on the architecture side and do nice architecture of software and documentation, of course, you would focus on the structuring, organization, and classification part of the spectrum of technical writing. If you are more focused on the development aspects, you want to play with open toolkits, you want to develop CSS, HTML, whatever programming language you're investing in, you would be more focused here on the delivery and maintenance part of the things. There is job to be done on each and every aspect of the creation of the software documentation. And basically, what you will find later on is that the software documentation, as we call it, which involves much more than just the written text, is a deliverable, it's a product by itself.